to draw. So we just keep going back and forth, back and forth.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even if it means casting a Soulfire early or you're casting a
Yeah.
Doomguard to drop my
Yeah.
hand because Zoo
Yeah.
traditionally didn't
Yeah.
care about it doesn't care
Yep.
about hand advantage. It doesn't care about it uses life as a resource. So it's all
Yep.
about just drawing and drawing and drawing and
Yep.
maintaining board control.
Yep.
So that's how we would play against Zoo. But if you do that against Hunter, I draw a card, right? I
Yeah.
draw a card, you hero power my face. I draw a
Yeah.
card, you hero
Yeah.
power my face. So and then
Yeah.
if I wait too long,
Mm,
and try to keep just two creatures on the board, my guys aren't
yeah.
beefy enough. You'll just run in.
Yep.
So
Yep.
so
Yeah. So that's no. That's the. I mean, that's the theory at least. No, that's the theoretically that's the correct way to play Zoo versus
Zoo
Hunter,
versus
where
Hunter, just
you
go
just
for it.
Zoo just tries to overwhelm because that's his only game plan anyway when it comes to Hunter.
Okay.
Um,
So it's like
Against
if he
other
has it,
decks
he
is
has
slightly
it.
different. Yeah, it's like that. And I was who was it that said that in the Zoo versus Hunter matchup, if Hunter has one Unleash the Hounds, if he's able to, through the course of the game, he's able to draw and play one Unleash the Hounds, Zoo has 50-50 chance of winning that game pa rin. In other words, Zoo is actually pretty well positioned to win the game naman eh. If there's only
Uh-oh.
one Unleash the Hounds. If he gets to play and draw and play two Unleash the Hounds though, you've
Then
got
you're
like
kind
a
of borked.
20% or 10% chance to win. You've lost now
Yeah.
essentially. There's
That,
no way for you to come back.
that sounds
Um
like Trump and Reynad, I
yeah,
think.
maybe. Yeah, I think it might have been Trump or Reynad, yeah.
Yeah.
So yun nga, and there is randomness in this game. Occasionally, even if Hunter was built to find that Unleash the Hounds,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes he just doesn't. And
Yeah, that
you've got a better chance between the first turn and the sixth turn that he doesn't have the Unleash yet.
yeah, as
So though
opposed to
that's your
like
window of
7 to
time.
10.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, the further it goes, the lower your chances get kasi that you'll be able to get away with it.
Okay.
So yeah. So so you try to go
So
as fast as you can
all
if you
right.
can.
So to summarize, Zoo is still it's still viable. It's
Mm.
still viable in limited because it's kind of well positioned against or decently positioned against
Yep.
Hunter. The only difference is that if you see a Hunter, just go for broke. Play
Yeah.
YOLO. If he has it, he has it. If he doesn't, yeah, you win.
Yep.
Against everybody else, try and play some board control, even at the expense
Yeah.
of hand advantage, and he'll run out of steam, and then you'll just step on him with your Doom Guard or Argent Commander or something.
Right.
Okay, so that's Zoo.
Mhm.
Now, this one I think is interesting because the reason why this is interesting was I took a look at I knew Tempo Rogue was starting to get big, right? It
Mhm.
was starting to get big. Um, I wasn't seeing it that much on the ladder, but when I took a look at the mana grind, winning deck lists,
Yeah.
dude, ang daming rogue. Ang dami talaga.
So they were praying against Zoo, no? I guess
I,
that's probably why they got that far up.
yeah, because they ate Zoo. So it's not that
Yeah.
Zoo is. Yeah, so scissor paper stone wise,
Mhm.
Zoo is kind of okay against
Yeah.
Hunter.
Yeah.
Rogue was designed to eat Zoo,
Yeah.
and I don't know how Rogue does against Hunter. I just never played that, but at least
Yeah.
that probably explains why there's so much Rogue.
Yeah. I think it's no. I think it's I think it's 50-50 against Hunter. Because the thing about Rogue is that it can deal damage without necessarily filling the board. Eh.
That's true.
You've
I
got
mean,
yeah, you've got weapons kasi eh. So you've got more choices. Zoo doesn't. Zoo can only play minions, and that's the only way it can win.
yeah. Which
So
actually you made a good point. Like Rogue against Hunter. The
mhm.
one of the holes, and I think we were talking about this like among ourselves, right? One of the holes, if you wanted to exploit it, versus Hunter, is it only has 2.5 taunts
Right.
because it's the
Two
Houndmaster,
Countmasters
two
and
Houndmaster, and
and
two
two animal
companions,
companions
but it's
that
only a
only
one
have
fourth
a
chance. Yeah,
yeah,
so it's
yep,
like 2.5 taunts.
right, yep,
So, and then if I take a look at this rogue deck, I mean, aside from the fact that you already have a weapon,
yep,
right? You put the
yep,
deadly poison on that, or you put deadly poison on an assassin's blade. 7/4. What? Let's see
yeah,
you
yep,
stop that.
yeah, yep,
Um, or this is spiteful Smith who's got a awkward ass on him, and then you damage it, gets painful. So I mean, um, Rogue versus Zoo, because again, I haven't played a lot of Zoo, right? I mean, you played it more than me. Safe,
Hmm.
safe to say.
Yeah.
What? Why is Rogue better positioned against Zoo? You think, or how does Rogue prey on Zoo?
Well, it's largely because of well, I mean, the reason why it's called tempo. This list is usually known as tempo rogue
Tempo Rogue,
because
yeah.
yeah, so because tempo is always on its side, and the reason why that is because freaking backstab is zero to cast. That's why.
Yeah.
So you can do so this is the really annoying part about it now. So as that opening that we were describing earlier, where you have
Flame
a
Imp
young
and
priestess and
yeah,
a
yeah.
shield bearer, or
Shield
yeah,
Bearer,
or a
Young
flame,
Priestess.
yeah, flame, either no flame
Mm-hmm.
imp and shield bearer. Rogue doesn't care about stuff like that because you can
Yeah.
they can backstab it for free, the flame imp,
Yeah.
and they're not super worried about the wall itself. The wall isn't gonna bother them naman because they've got things that they can play. So the really annoying part is that they can play backstab for free. Then they've got options pa on their second turn. Either they're
Mm-mm.
playing Argent Squire, they're weaponing up, they're playing a loot
Yeah.
hoarder.
Mm-mm.
There's stuff that they can do. So in other words, and then actually, if they just choose to weapon up, they can actually then attack pa. No? So
And still
they're
deal one incremental, no?
yeah. So there's the timing, the pacing of the game is always on their side because of the removal that doesn't cost anything.
Yeah, so they get a lot of
Maybe
like free 2 for 1. Because even like
yeah,
mechanics wise, right?
yeah,
The what Zoo tries to do with these taunts is it doesn't kill you with the taunts. What it does is it uses the taunts so that their fragile stuff is able to hit you more than once.
right, exactly.
Basically,
Yep,
that's it, right? But then you
yep,
have Rogue,
yep,
who it just don't care,
yeah,
right?
yep. It gets
It'll
around it, kasi.
it gets
Yep.
around it. I mean, and then also even like let's say let's going back to the druid or the shaman, right?
Mm-hmm.
If I spent 3 mana to be to sorry if I spent my turn using say a lightning bolt to
Mm-hmm.
clear your taunter, right?
Mm-hmm.
Say it's injured, something like that.
Yeah, sure.
Say it's a
Yeah,
void walker or whatever.
yeah.
I
Okay.
I spend my turn casting a spell
Mm-hmm.
so that I can clear your taunter and maybe clear a little
Right.
bit of your board, but I
Yep.
don't get to progress my board.
Yes.
What Rogue will do is he'll do something really annoying, like uh, he'll play an Argent Squire and then he'll play a Perdition's Blade or play an
Right.
SI7. So
Right.
he was
Yeah.
able to deal the 2 damage
Mm-hmm.
to kill the thing hiding behind the taunt, and he has a warm body left
Right.
over. So it
Right.
just Rogue just does that over and over and over. He does it
Right.
with Perdition's Blade. He does it with SI7. Um, he'll do it with gee, I don't know, maybe there's an Argent Squire that survived from the last turn. He'll
Right.
drop a
Yeah.
Dark
Yeah. Yeah.
Iron Dwarf, and
Yeah. Yep.
so
Mm-hmm.
yes, I guess
Yep.
that's
Yeah. So the way that Zoo wins these matchups kasi is by snowballing the lead, no? Kasi they'll have
yeah,
a
right.
very tiny advantage at the start where they can play 2 minions instead of your usual one or nothing for a lot of the
Yeah.
other classes. But they can't snowball against Rogue. And Zoo
Mm,
creatures on their own, naked on the board without taunters in front of them, tend to not be all that great. So it's strength in numbers a lot of the time. And because a lot of these creatures buff each other, they don't have quite as much value. So like say a dire wolf alpha on a naked board is pretty useless. That's a bad play
yeah.
because it's not buffing anything on either side of it. And
Uh-uh.
that's usually what happens when you play against rogue because they're removing all of your other stuff pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Their removal costs less than the mana that you're using to play those creatures, and that's the really painful part of it,
Yeah,
actually.
or you'll get stuck with a Defender of Argus with an empty board. I hate
Right?
it when
Yeah.
that
See,
happens,
that's the
but
worst 4 drop ever.
it's like, oh
So
god, what am I gonna do with
yeah.
these? Maybe
Yep.
I'll tap and not die.
This is actually why Dark Iron Dwarf is pretty good. Because even as a 4 drop on a naked board, it's not that bad. It's okay.
It's
That's a
still a
4/4.
4/4, right?
Yeah.
So
Oh,
even
so
stat
not
wise,
bad.
it's not a total loss. Aren't you glad they
Yeah.
nerfed this thing? It used to be a permanent buff.
Yeah. Oo nga eh. Grabe, no?
Yeah, it used to kick my ass all the time. I
Yep.
hated it. John Locke,
Mhm.
whatever. Um, okay, so I think actually, I think we're coming up on the hour. I don't have my timer on. So,
You're at about 45 minutes actually.
oh, okay, that's
Little
not so
over
bad
45
then.
minutes.
So we have a little
Yep.
bit more time. So let's just review where we're at so far. As far as so we were talking about the gauntlet, what decks to prepare for. We have lists for I guess
Hmm.
your average hunter that we think will be popular, your average zoo, and your average tempo rogue. So I think if you had to say, I think these three decks will easily make up more than half the meta.
I'd like to think so, yeah, but because of the it's a remember na it's a very varied field that gonna kind of debut this tournament into. We're not
Yeah.
entirely sure like what the skill levels or what the experience levels of the players are.
Okay.
So there's going to be a lot of decks there that we might not even anticipate yet. Like
I
I'm
see.
I'm actually willing to bet there's going to be quite a lot of mage just because mage is usually the first class that people play. Um,
Hmm.
so and actually mage might be a pretty good deck to play against these three decks. Because
Aggro
mage has
mage.
the yeah, I think aggro mage would actually have a pretty good chance.
Let's see. What does
Um,
aggro mage have going for it?
not probably not
It's got a
probably not
ping.
yeah. Probably not past turn seven, pero you know, it's got it's got many of the same abilities as rogue, where it can it can remove creatures with accuracy without having to get caught up by taunters,
Yeah.
and at the same time it's got freeze, which is the other way that you beat Zoo, by just kind of delaying him,
Until you
uh,
flame strike his face and then
or something.
or
Yeah, diba?
something, and
Ganun.
then after that he'll go, "Oh no, you cleared my board." Tap tap tap. Then you fireball him twice. So
Yeah, exactly. So yun, so diba? I mean, it's the mage might actually make a pretty big splash, if
like
it's
free
built that
trump
way.
mage, like the one that made it to
Maybe.
legend, because that's limited. Because damn, everything in
Yeah,
that
you're
deck was
right. Yeah,
free.
actually. Pero I was actually thinking of the more aggro mage that started coming out like last week, right around the same time that Colento Hunter became super popular. No, because people
Mm.
were looking for solutions. Some people went Tempo Rogue, and other people went Aggro Mage.
Um.
And that Aggro Mage in particular, because it was so good against Hunter and Zoo, it was terrible against everything else. It was terrible against Control.
Terrible
Well,
against
actually,
ramp druid.
control anything. Yeah, it was any control
Watcher
was
dies.
bad against that. No, yeah. But it shined against Hunter and Zoo.
So if you're
So
playing it targeted, like in a tournament setting, not ladder, it might not be a bad gamble.
maybe, yeah.
Hmm.
I'm pretty sure people wouldn't be preparing against aggro mage.
Maybe I should play
In fact,
priest
I'm not even sure.
pirates.
What do you actually? What do you do to hose aggro mage anyway? It's not like there's anything
Um,
specific.
you either
Run
have a bigger butt.
heals.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you either have a bigger butt so that he has to 2-for-1 trade you. I mean,
yeah,
this is where like classic Watcher Druid or any Druid that runs Yeti
yep,
comes in. So yeah, you make him trade twice because his stuff is generally smaller, or you
right,
get good value from board sweeps. So we're talking Lightning Storm Shaman,
right.
maybe Quality Consecrate, maybe.
Yeah,
Yeah,
equality consecrate is like a turn six play though. So parang
yeah,
earlier than that, you'd probably go wild pyromancer equality. Those are both limited cards, right?
yeah. They are.
Yeah. Okay.
And
Yep.
but most board clears do happen at around turn 4 or 5 anyway, because in the
That's
first three
true.
turns I mean, you're not
They're
going
still
to,
building up.
yeah, they're still
Yeah.
building up, so you try to get three victims for your clear, so
Right.
that it's especially since it's a 2 card combo. So if you're
Yep.
spending 2 cards to clear the board, you win if you clear 3 cards.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. So
Right.
okay, so aggro mage, yeah, that could be a sleeper. What
Maybe.
about shaman? You think shaman is viable in limited? It used to be
I don't.
great.
Oh.
Because shaman
Yeah.
used to be great because shaman would always eat mid-range stuff like druid alive.
Yeah.
But druid was becoming less popular because all these other things would prey on druid.
Yeah,
So
that's true.